Good morning. So before I had even gotten my kid on the bus, I had some mails and DMs asking about the company and basically requiring some proof of due diligence, which I applaud. I think it's always great when you have people asking good questions, especially those who are asking before they invest. Let's talk a little bit about the history of cyber. So I had created a company called Key Cybersecurity that received funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia for internal research and development. Specifically, it was for technology called CyberMerlin. And initially, CyberMerlin was designed to find illicit images and videos, essentially child pornography, the icky stuff. And there was an algorithm that we created that basically allowed us to find exact and partial matches of the files out there. And you can imagine people trying to circumvent detection by changing the hue, contrast, size of these images. They do a lot of stuff to try not to get caught. And at the time, the government was using something called Shawn that was just not that good of a software because it could only find exact matches based on the database of known images and videos that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, had. So we created something really cool. It occurred to me as we got through the funding and we won various awards, and I'm going to post a link for some of that stuff here, that this was a very powerful tool and can be used to find exact and partial matches of all kinds of information. So we started doing some things in the Middle East, and we were asked to set up a different company because, as you can imagine, when jurisdictions and domiciles change, especially when you're doing government-specific work, you have to be very careful about how your company is formed and where you can do certain types of activity. So cut to the short end of the stick here, Eureka Cyber was a company, basically a subsidiary that I put together to handle Middle East activity. So we used this technology and the associated algorithms to start identifying financial institutional breaches that were happening with like Qatar National Bank, Invest UAE, and we were able to proactively identify problematic activity and prevent about $100 million in hacks. And I've got a letter of commendation that I'll also attach here for everyone. That also rolled up into what we will now call cyber. That's one of my important points here. The technologies and the processes and the customer base and things have all been brought into cyber. So think of it as a couple different subsidiaries that have rolled up under an umbrella company, and we're now focusing the solutions, both services and product, under cyber. So a few other cool things that had happened along the way. I got an award from the Dell Founders 50 Club. That was because they identified the technology as one of the top 50 technologies in the world. And this wasn't just for IT. This was any kind of tech, wind, solar, drones. It's a really prestigious honor. So we were able to get into the Dell Solutions Center in Herndon, Virginia, and do all kinds of really cool testing with these massive data centers that would allow us to do load balancing, stress testing to make sure this product was scalable. And that's really cool because it took a while to be able to address thousands of machines simultaneously. It's a lot of things going on with all the calculations and such. Some other awards were won along the way. Tandem NSI, which is part of the National Security Agency. We won the Destination Innovation for Best of DC, Maryland, and Virginia, which was really cool. HP's former CEO and presidential candidate Carly Fiorano presented us the award there. That was neat. And some other things were happening along the way. So I'm telling you these things because a lot of people ask about due diligence related questions. And it's great because, look, in this vertical of crypto, there's a lot of scams, a lot of problems, and I totally get that. We're here to identify the scams and the malicious code and the hackers and the bad activity and all that stuff. So I don't mind these questions. I really don't. I want to talk about our partners briefly, and then this will be the last thing I discuss this morning. We do have real world partners with the companies that are on the website. And hopefully the dossier that I've put together will be able to help some of you see who and what we're doing. And if you want to do some more searching on Google or if you have more questions, you can come back to me. But it really should spell out how we're associated with these companies. And just briefly, Raytheon, our relationship is primarily for the Domino IDIQ, $1.15 billion worth of DHS cybersecurity work. And we have 6 million plus in task orders on that contract. With Dell, that relationship is from the Dell Founders 50 that I aforementioned described. We have HPE that we're also working with because some of these solutions that we'll ultimately sell to enterprise customers are going to need different types of hardware And some companies and enterprise organizations prefer different vendors than others. So we've got Dell, we've got HP, and then brings me to IBM. We are part of the IBM partner world, and we are completing our, I guess, VAR agreement with a couple companies, Ingram being the primary one. And the reason for that is so we can distribute the technologies we have via appliances. We're not just building software in a SaaS cloud environment. We want to have appliances, and it's important because some of the customer base that we're looking at, i.e. we have a Navy submarine group that's interested in the technology, that has to be more in a client server environment. So we're going to have to install things that they won't be able to broadcast and communicate via the cloud, even via secure connection. So this is very important. Now, IBM Partner World, people can get that somewhat easily. Basically, you say, I've got something, I want to integrate with IBM, and they vet you out and they say, okay, I shouldn't say easily, but easier than some other type relationships. We have some things going on in the background, specifically with the Watson Group, with the blockchain group, and with the Federal Sales Division. And we are currently under NDA because we're building something. I'm going to throw this out there. I suggest you guys look at something called DIU.mil, DIU.mil, and that's for Defense Innovation Unit. Used to be DIUX, Defense Innovation Unit Experimental, but now that's a little bit more formal. We've met with 2 lieutenant colonels, one from San Diego, and I met with one at the Pentagon about our technology, and they are very, very interested. They do non-dilutable funding for these projects, which essentially helps you finalize a technology with some customization towards their environment, and then they purchase said technology. So they fund you to develop something customized, and then they purchase it as well, and you may have a 5 or 7 year contract. It's a very, very big deal. Tanium, for example, got a $12 million stipend, and their former chief, not security officer, it was, gosh, I'm sorry, chief knowledge officer, strange as that sounds, Chad Fulgham, who was also the former CIO of the FBI, was briefly on our board of directors, and there was a conflict of interest for some other things, so he had to kind of go off to something that's now called Procredo. He started his own entity, but just that alone states volumes about what Tanium was able to do with DU and what we hope to do as well. So I've kind of rambled a bit here, but a lot of things I just wanted to discuss to give you a sense of confidence in who we're working with, why we're working with, and what it really means for cyber. So again, if you want to DM me with any questions, that's fine. I don't mind at all. I applaud your due diligence. I truly do. But everything we have is legitimate, and we don't announce partners and such until it's contractual and formal. So I don't know how many minutes this is. I'm going to let you guys get back to it. I've got plenty of things to do today. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, and we will chat soonest.